Whoa, we zoomed in. In the top right of the map, we have our blue Terran player. It is none other than Zrq.
Yeah. So I apologize if the computer lagged out a little bit. StarCraft actually, XSplit refused to see StarCraft right before we
Oh,
went live, so I just screen grabbed it real quick, real fast.
yeah,
In
I've
the
done
bottom
that.
left-hand corner, we have spawning as our green Zerg player. We have Ottr, Odd,
Yeah, just
Ottr,
Otter. Just
Otter.
Otter. Just pretend like there's an either.
Just
It's the
pretend.
easy way to approach the situation. Just like me and saying Zrq. That still has to be my favorite thing ever. Is that when that one game from Zrq and Anuzar got onto the Funday Monday. Seriously, that had to. That was hilarious seeing him try to pronounce that name. I was like, yes, I know exactly how you feel.
Because we've been talking with him in the chat for a while. I know
Hmm.
ZRQ's been pretty active in Day 9 TV chat.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about him is that I've asked him directly before, like, how are people supposed to pronounce that? And he goes, however they want. So he's
That's
not offering any assistance as far as what the real pronunciation of that is supposed to be.
that's that's one of those names that you just kind of like smash some keys on the keyboard and just go with it.
I kind of almost think that's what he did. I mean, because it's not like you look down and you can see that, oh, a person just made their name by running their finger in a straight line to the right or something. Because these keys they're all very deliberate. C's over here, Q's over here, K's on the other side of the board, Y's in the middle, and we're just like, this is done. This was done with intentional thought. But what
He
does it mean?
actually typed that out. It's a mystery. ZRQ's a mystery.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna call him Mysterio from now on.
You can do that if you desire. Um, Anyway, so far we're not looking at anything particularly surprising. We have a Reaper opening from Zrq, Otter going for hatch first. And perhaps what we can see. The interesting thing about Otter, from what I recall, is it's all pretty much kind of two forms of play. Sometimes she'll go for a fast third, or she'll go for mutas very quickly. She definitely is good at both of those two things. It might come down a little bit to how well Zrq is capable of adapting to that. And the thing is, one thing that's different nowadays than it was a little bit in the past is that the AI is actually quite a bit more flexible, especially in Heart of the Swarm versus Wings of Liberty. So if you are using the AI to practice a lot, you can actually make it do certain builds. Now, granted, the timings that they hit are completely wrong, but it definitely does add in a certain interesting element.
It still does give you a general sense of what's going on, though.
So far, not going so great though. Reaper comes out and gets 3 workers for his trouble. Only one more than you typically see it manage to grab. But unfortunately, does not really grab much further scouting information. Zrq actually is not necessarily aware of whether or not gas has actually been picked up. Did not actually check the entire base, but I don't think it would have affected this build all that much, as he appears to be just going for a factory and moving forward with his build from here.
Oh, this is kind of interesting. ZRQ dropping a command center at his wall off at the natural. Supply depot.
Not sure how I feel about that. That seems like it's not something you see many players actually do. Certainly, obviously effective as a wall, but against the wrong player, that might also be a way of donating effectively 400 minerals to his cause.
Yeah, I mean, so Zerg, you don't really have to worry about that much. I mean, if you can get the command center completed, Zerglings aren't going to be able to kill it. Even Banelings, you would have to build a lot of Banelings to slow down 1,500 points.
Otter is going to slow down the production of that command center. It's going to do some damage to these Marines, which are fighting okay, actually, backwards against the Zergling, one of which is going to get home and get away to report what happened. At least it would have if this was in any way a realistic combat scenario. But the Zerg are not humans. We must remember they can transfer information instantaneously, and for some reason the Terrans do as well. Shrugging my shoulders on that one. I don't really know what's going on in those suits of theirs.
Every single Terran unit has a camera in it, like a little GoPro attached to it. That's my philosophy.
And then, like, the adjutant is just sending all of the information that they see.
Yeah, Yeah.
them back to the command center. It actually would be interesting if it was turned out that they actually had like something surgically implanted into their heads. It was actually transferring the information back. Just like a more crude way of accomplishing the exact same thing that the Protoss and the Zerg do. But yeah, so far, killing off Overlord was coming in for the scout. Did pick up on the number of Marines, but not much more than that. Still another Overlord position on the other side of the map, but it's unfortunately not probably going to be able to get very far into the base from the right side to actually pick up too much. Might be able to pick up on the building placement, though. Depends on how fast Zrqkyvx reacts to it, if it's ever actually used for that. And yeah, so far, Zrqkyvx is playing pretty much exactly as I expected. Going down the bio route, throwing in some tanks on top of that. And it looks like Ottr is opting for Roach Tech.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of an interesting choice. I mean, roaches do okay against bio, but you definitely want to see some semblance of Bangling type play, especially when you're going really, really heavy bio, and we don't see another factory go down. We've just got the one factory that's producing siege tanks, so you could definitely go up to 3 to 4 bases of Zerg and just overwhelm your opponent at this point. This is still really interesting. Like the command center gets turned into an orbital command in place, doesn't immediately move it to take a third.
Nope.
But he's using it to increase his income supply. That's actually pretty ingenious.
This is not something that's actually all that uncommon. It's just what's uncommon is the fact that it's in the wall. Ironically enough, that may actually make it more effective as it's closer to the mineral line while it's doing this. But so far, no attempt by Ottr to take an additional base. This is a little bit problematic, as it's actually going to cause Zerg to be a little far, not quite as far ahead of the Terran as they would like to be at this point in time. But it's not by any means necessarily something I would call fatal, but definitely causes this to take a little bit of a different shape from a normal game. You can even see that the resources for something like that are there. And it looks like for now, though, there's a third base, finally. Okay.
Third base kind of like finally comes down for Ottr. It's still, too little too late at this point. I would love to see a double expand from here, because the second base for Terran is already up. Like, she knows it's already up. She knows that the third command center is down. She didn't kill it on her way in the first time at all. She delayed the building of it, so she knows that the possibility for a third base exists. And she's going to have to shut down the natural completely with this attack right here in order to actually scrape back into the game.
The thing is, at the same time, that third base needs to get from there to a mineral line, and I actually see some problems with that. This, in particular, if she's able to posture her army on the outside of this base, these siege tanks, they're going to have a really hard time leaving. She's not going to be able to do much damage, because, yeah, you see the siege tanks, and you're like, nope, not walking toward that. But at the same time, they're going to have to stay there or the roaches can push in. And there's actually no medevac support on this army right now. There it is. Okay, with that, she is going to have to back off a little bit, at least until the next wave of tech comes out. Still waiting on what that will be. It's like pure roaches for now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's not a whole lot that can be done. She's already blown most of her bank. She didn't get
Siege tanks have moved forward now. Trying to stim after the roaches, which I don't think is a particularly smart move. He's trying to bait her back into the siege tanks. But for now, neither player taking any serious damage. Ottr falling back to rejoin with the reinforcements. And Zrq pushing forward out onto the map. He's actually leaving his home base pretty open to a counterattack at the moment.
Yeah, but there are no fast lanes out here to really take advantage of that, so
it's a acceptable position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, with these siege tanks, he can pretty much just set up and just pick away at this third, destroy it. It's not saturated at all, so she's not going to lose a lot, but I mean, still.
What the? SCVs. Okay, Zrq's trying to end the game now. Absolutely now. A little bit of an interesting decision to actually do this, though, and they're not involved in the fight. If he loses the fight in any way, he's kind of dead. So stakes are high now for our Terran players. Siege tanks are getting picked away at. The Marines do survive, though, and is forcing Ottr away. You know, the fact that he actually hasn't shown the SCVs might make Ottr think that this is not necessarily an all-in. They are sitting on the edge of the creep. They're just going to mass repair the siege tanks. Interesting. Yeah, this is the thing that you sometimes see with players around this level. You just have no idea what they're actually going to do. Roaches smell. More roaches coming out here. Going to need something more significant than that. And there's GG.